Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Katherine.Kelly, and I hope you are having a wonderful sunny morning. I know there are lots of parts of the country that are getting a lot of rain right now, so if you're listening from one of those parts of the country, we are with you, and we hope that you are safe. It's hard to believe how much rain is falling in certain places, but in other places it's totally dry, and so it's one of those things where we have to go with the flow of things. And as I go with the flow of the soul, one of the things that keeps coming up, both for me and a lot of the people that I work with, clients, practitioners, colleagues, is why is it that we don't talk about the soul? And I really, really want to hear from you about this. Why don't we talk about the soul? What is it that makes us avoid talking about the soul? Our ancestors, our ancient cultures, that was the center of their life. The soul was the center of their life, the soul of the earth, the soul of themselves, the soul of how we go on in life, and yet we don't talk about it now. So it's very curious to me, and I really, really do want to hear from you about this, is, your thoughts. Why do you think we don't talk about the soul? And as mentioned, our ancient cultures used to talk about the soul all the time. That was the center of their world, and they were a much more centered population. Society, we are not as centered as our ancient cultures. So for me, you have to kind of think about, if we're not thinking about the soul, if we're not talking about the soul, and we also are not a very centered culture anymore, then what the heck? What the heck is going on, and what is it that we need to do to bring the soul back to mainstream? So I'm going to define soul for a second, because in my book, Soul Health, I just simplify it to mean that the soul is the essence of who we are. So if you really think about, that there are lots of different ideas of what the soul is, but if you distill that meaning down to basically say that the soul is the essence of who we are, then why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we just bringing that back into awareness and weaving that back into our everyday lives? Why is it that we are so darned afraid to talk about the soul? Now, this started for me several months ago when I joined this major marketing program, and I started to be told, oh, I don't think you should talk about the soul. I don't think you should bring that up. Totally boggled me, completely boggled me. And partly because I live in this world. I mean, obviously, I wrote Soul Health. Obviously, I talk about this with clients. I talk about this almost every single day when I am doing these videos. I talk about it in workshops and classes and online, and so it's my world. So it did shock me, and it kind of, it just awoke me to help me realize people really don't talk about the soul. But now I want to know why. I want to figure out, how is it that we get the soul mainstream again? Because we are such an uncentered society. And if our ancient cultures talked about the soul all the time, just lived the soul, and they were a much more centered population, much more centered society, then what the heck are we doing wrong? I can't help but believe that we've got to get the soul back into mainstream. We've got to get us talking much more and thinking much more and living much more through the soul. Because if you look at what's going on in the world, very, very few people are living through their souls. Every time I turn on the news at night, to watch the national news, I think about this. So I want to just really honestly ask you, and I want to hear you respond to this video if you can, if you're willing. Why don't we talk about the soul? Why is it that we've gotten so distant from that precious part of us? Why is it that we don't talk about how our existence is so connected to not only one another, but so connected to the essence of spirit? I was talking to a client yesterday who was kind of concerned with how she was doing some journal writing, because she said that she was asking a question on paper and then she was just kind of writing what would come to her. And she said, I don't know where that's coming from, and it kind of scared me, so I put it away. She said it was good stuff, but I didn't know what to do with it. And that led us into a conversation about the soul, and basically about how do you connect in. And one of my definitions about soul related to source, God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, is that if we are all energy, if everything on this planet is energy, and God, universe, spirit, whatever, created us in its likeness, then we are the existential extension of the essence of source. So think about that. If we are from source energy, well, then we have everything we need, but we don't talk about it. We don't tune into it. And we are such an uncentered society, and I would say uncentered world. If we really do have 7.5 billion people on this planet, what percentage of us are really centered? And I would say that those of us who are centered, which are few and far between probably, those people live in their souls. Why is it that we don't bring this back to life? Why isn't that we don't resuscitate the soul back to where it's supposed to be? So this is obviously my mission. This is a huge part of where I think we need to go, both to fix the problems of the world and to fix ourselves and to get us all connecting again. So next week, I'm going up to New York City for part of this training program, and it's called the Publicity Summit, and I am supposed to pitch my message to about 100 media throughout the country, lots of TV producers, editors from major magazines, blog and radio hosts, and yeah, I've been told not to talk about soul a whole lot, but I'm going to do it anyway, because the thing is, we've got to get this mainstream. We are such a messed-up society that we have got to reconnect, and I do think that the soul is the way that we go. I think that is the source of where we need to go to in order to get us back where we need to be. Anytime I see a shooting, anytime I see a police officer shoot someone that really shouldn't be shot, every time I see someone do something racially or sexually or whatever is in the news these days, it just reminds me how misaligned we are from our soul. We are misaligned from the essence of who we are if people out there are capable of doing what they're doing. So that's why I really want to hear from you to figure out, where in the world did we lose our soul? Where in the world did we forget this most precious part of us that grounds us and centers us and connects us with Source? How did we lose that? You know, I think the more modern we get, the more modern society gets, the less and less connected we are with our souls, and that is the problem. So if you think about all the mindless activity, all of the things that we do that keep us unfocused, keep us disorganized or distracted from life, that is all pulling us away from our alignment. That is pulling us away from our soul. And so we have to really think about, what is it that will reconnect us? What is it that will resuscitate that and bring that back to mainstream? And I know I'm just kind of saying the same thing over and over again, but it is now my mission to get people back into their souls. And I just think it's going to be such an important part of our own evolution. You know, this is what I talk about, is the soul's evolution. We are not going to evolve unless we're connected with our souls. We just won't. So I want you to really think about what you do on a day-to-day basis. What do you do every second that keeps you either distracted or connected? And ask yourself, am I living through my soul? Am I really putting that as the most important thing here? You know, the soul health model, it really talks about the human condition. You know, all the branches of my tree, all those 10 branches of the human condition, yes, we have to live those, but how do we figure those out? We figure it out through the soul. We have to go back to ourselves in order to figure out, how do we realign? How do we reconnect? What is it that I need? What is it that I don't need? What is it that I need to clean out of my life? And what is it that I need to bring into my life so that I can align better? But you have to bring the soul back into the picture in order to do that. You cannot have a radiant life without the soul. End of story. You cannot have a radiant life without the soul. So bring it back into your own life and tell me, again, how you see that we've lost our souls. I would love to hear this, because I want to bring more of this to the world to help people really realize that we have lost it. And so we need to get that back. So think about that, bring that back into your own awareness. The other thing I want to throw out there is my book was supposed to be published and ready for launch as of this coming Saturday. And because Mercury was in retrograde, there were lots of glitches, and there were lots of publishing issues, and there were lots of editing issues. And I figure, okay, timing was not the right, it was not the right timing to get this thing out. So I have switched the launch to be on the 12th of May. Hopefully everything will be coming together. I will be receiving the final proof hopefully tomorrow. So you'll be getting more information about the book and hopefully being able to launch it as planned this time. That's my intention. Mercury's out of retrograde, so hopefully that is done. We won't have any more glitches. So I will keep you all posted on that. And it's a matter of flowing with the soul. Sometimes we've got those things that come up in life and the timing is not right. But actually now I can see why I was not supposed to be out there and ready for Saturday. Because now I've got to get even more ready for this summit and tell people, why in the world aren't we talking about the soul? So thank you for watching. Please pass this on, forward it. invite anybody else into this conversation about why is it that we don't talk about the soul, because we really, really, really need to get back centered with ourselves. So have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. And you will hopefully hear more very soon about the book publishing. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.